Hi everyone, welcome to another Johanna Basford Planner page. Happy Monday. And today I thought we would start off by doing a pastel background on the page and then colouring in some of the design. Now I'm thinking a little bit about this page, not really 100% sure of what to do, but what I've decided is I'm going to do a sort of yellowish coloured background. Maybe with a bit of green, haven't quite 100% decided yet, and then because I think it sort of works for sky, and we can colour over the top of it with the colours of the leaves and the flowers, and it would all work. So let's start. I don't want it all to be exactly the same colour. I'm thinking maybe down here it might be a bit greener, then we might fade up to yellow and paler yellow. So that's what I'm going to try. I've got my pastels, these are the ones that I use. Mungyo soft pastels, and you can see I've got my tray here just so you can see. Let's move it in a little bit. There we go. I know we're quite zoomed out, but I think it's the way to go. So I'm going to start with my most yellowy green with just a little bit down here, and then go on to yellow and brighter yellow. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to start with this one here, there. Okay, so I'm going to wipe it onto my it is a clean, oops, I've got some orange on there now, my clean pad, get a bit on there, and then I want to hold this page with something that isn't my finger, so I don't get it too oily. If I get fingerprints on the page, it can impact the way the pastel goes down. So let's get some more. It takes a little while to start to build the colour up into the paper. Some papers take on pastels better than others. I guess you would expect that. What was I using the other day which worked really well? I can't remember which book it was. That's really useful, isn't it? I'm sorry, I don't know. So you can see it's quite a yellowy green, which is the idea. I'm only going to do a little bit of that, and I'm going to move on to, oops, there are bits. These greens. I'm going to go with this sort of more dark goldish green, yellow. It's not green, it's yellow. Take quite a bit of that. We want to sort of merge it across the two. This is how you blend pencils, the same way, where you would merge the two colours together. It's just the same thing, but it's a lot quicker and easier with the pastels. It's a bit close to my book. Go across both bits. Now the joy with pastel is you can build up the layers in exactly the same way as you can with pencils, and you can also erase them with a regular pencil eraser, so if it all goes horribly wrong you can just rub it back. Obviously some can stain in the same way that a pencil can, but okay, I'm going to go for my next colour. I'm going to find a clean bit of cloth. I'm going to go for the slightly lighter colour. These are some of my favourites for backgrounds actually, I've been doing lately. Now, a nice side, if you want to be, I had contemplated doing a really easy background, and I'll tell you, I was thinking of doing like a sunset or something behind, and then just silhouetting all the detail with black pen. And it is easy to do, but I find it quite dull. Lots of black pen. And also, say a shape like this flower here, you'd lose all the definition because it would just be completely black. So, and sometimes when things overlap, if they're all the same colour, it can look a little bit, you can't quite make out what's going on. A clean bit of cloth. I'm going to go for this yellow next. Just been helping my son write his statement for his UCAS application, for his university application form. In the UK it all goes through the same one company. That's a bit bright, isn't it? I'm not going to use much of that, I don't think. I think I'm going to go for the, I'm going to turn that over and use the other side and go for this pale one. still quite bright. I'm going to hold it at the bottom instead. I think I'm going to go for this sort of creamy colour here. Got a lot of white in this set of pastels, which I find quite fascinating. There's 2 whites here and there's a whole big stick of white up here as well. And I've never used white, but then I guess they're not just designed for use on white paper. Doesn't really show up very much, but I guess it is supposed to be cream. Now the more you put on and the harder you rub, the further it goes into the paper and the more you will see it, which makes perfect sense. So I'm just gonna do get quite a bit and try and get good colour. You could do this with pencil, but you'll not get such a nice easy transition of colour, and it will take you an awful lot longer. It would probably take you a few hours, whereas this has taken us, what, so far? 5 minutes or so. Now it's not even. I'm going to go back through it. I'm actually going to use, I'm just trying to find the right bit on my cloth, this colour a lot more to bring it all together, because down here this area looks a bit pale where it joins together with the darker yellow. Sorry, everything's moving as I'm it's making a lot of noise on my desk, my chair. Now the more you put down, the darker the background, which is quite obvious. So you have to decide quite how much you want and how you want to do it. I'm going to put a layer of this lighter one on top of this brighter one. So you know, it's up to you really how much you apply. And it can be quite nice to get it quite intense, but you might just want the background pale. Depends on what sort of impact and effect you're going for, really. Also, pastels are different in their intensities and how easy they are to apply, etc, etc. So you've got that going on as well. It depends what sort of brand you have. Now when you've done this and finished, you could go through every item that's pictured and erase the pastel that's on them. I am not going to do that. I'm going to colour over the top of the pastel because it's much easier. Okay, that one looks really bright, that flower, doesn't it? It'll be coloured over, so I think that's going to do. I'm going to leave it there. So I'm going to colour on top, so I'm going to choose my colours that work with the pastel. So greens for the leaves obviously will work, and for the flowers I'm thinking, let's just put those over there. I am thinking for the flowers oranges is going to work, and butterflies maybe browns and oranges. I'm thinking I feel that will work. So we're going to start. We're not going to do this whole page, there's a lot going on. What I've decided to do to make it easier for me is to do all the flowers, in a very similar colour, all the leaves in the same colours and all the butterflies in the same colours, and then I'm not so daunted by the whole page. So let's come in and find a section and I'll do it with you. Got a butterfly, we've got butterfly leaves, flowers here. Maybe that section will be good. Let's go in a bit further. Right, I'm going to start with the flowers. And I thought the oranges would be nice. My oranges are a little bit blunt, but we've got in our Arteza Experts I'm using, so I've got an orange, I've got a pumpkin orange, I've got a Tuscan sun. I thought they could be good colours. So I'm going to start, which flower shall we do? These little ones are really cute and quite simple. I'm going to actually do the centre of each flower with the darkest pencil, which is the orange, and do the middle, just the middle. This is a bit blunt, I'm just going to try and wing it because my sharpener's a bit noisy. There we go. So the centre with the darkest bit. And then I'm going to use the pumpkin orange for the start of the petals. I'll show you. Now I find this a much easier method for colouring in that I'm going to do every flower at the same time. So rather than doing one flower completely and then another flower completely, this is how I colour, and it makes me much more speedy. So I move from one to the other, and it means I don't have to keep changing colour all the time. What I'm trying to do is to put more colour at the centre near where we did that really dark orange, and less towards the tip of each petal. And move around like that, and then take our lightest orange that I'm going to be using, which is the Tuscan Sun. I'm not moving into peachy colours, I'm sticking with the vibrant oranges. I think they look more jungly. I'm only guessing, I've never been to a jungle. I don't know. I think I like the vibrancy. Now the risk we have of doing the pastel first is if we go out of the lines, it's more difficult for us to erase it because we'll start to erase our background. So, but if we did it last and rubbed it all over this pencil work, there's the possibility, if we're rubbing it really hard, that we might smudge the pencil. So you could put a workable fixative on top of the pencil, and that should stop it smudging, and then put the pastel on top. I'm not sure how well that will work on all paper though. It depends on your fixative, your paper, your pastel, so it would be something that you would have to test on scrap paper before trying it, or in the back of the book there's a test area. There we go, nice vibrant orange flowers, not too tricky. And the greens, of course I'm going to pick my favourites, they go well with orange anyway. What's that one? Actually, I think that one will work. Or if we go, yeah, we'll do it this way. We'll go, we'll do these three, hang on, sorry, trying to get them into shot for you. So that's the Coyote brown, the Pear green, you can't see it's worn off, and the moss green. Okay, those three. And which bit of leaf? We'll do this long piece here. Okay, it's quite simple still, and we've got 3 flowers here the same as these, so I would do them exactly the same, but actually all my flowers I'm going to do this way, with the centres dark, then a slightly lighter orange, and then the paler tips. I'm just going to keep it really simple. So here, this Coyote brown is quite a brown, so it's quite good for the stems and shadowy bits of leaves. I'm going to spread a little bit out in the top of each of the leaves, like that. Now sometimes we've got this leaf here, and I'm never quite sure how to colour it. There are lots of different ways. Sometimes I completely ignore Johanna's markings, so this bit, and just colour over it. Sometimes you want to do it dark around here and make this bit look like it's standing out. That's quite pretty. Or you can do it the other way around, where this is the dark bit like an outline and this bit is lighter. Not quite sure how I'm going to do them. I'm going to skip over to the moss green now and just go over the top of this coyote brown a little bit and start to take the colour down the leaf. And see, another influence here over how you do this bit is that it's near this green. This is a mid green, so it doesn't matter, but thinking about whether it will stand out or not against the other greens that are nearby. You could of course use different greens for your different leaves. I'm going to use the same ones. I think it can help make the picture all come together a little bit more if you use a limited palette, but it's also quicker and easier because you don't have to keep choosing colours, making everything look even and things like that. So I think it's a good way to go. I don't always use it though. This picture is actually a repeating pattern in the main book. I don't know whether we get much repeat on this particular segment. So it's not a scene or anything that's supposed to look too real. When I'm doing a picture that is a scene, let's go back, like something like Ivy, she's in the scene, I wouldn't use so much of a limited palette because I'd want to do slightly more realistic colours, so you know, blue skies and green leaves and things like that. And in real, flowers don't all grow the same colour. Have you noticed this? Although obviously if you plant your garden you may just have all flowers the same. I know some people keep their gardens so that all their flowers are the same colours. My neighbour has, she doesn't keep all her flowers the same colour, she just has a dislike for a particular colour. I can't even remember what it is, so she doesn't have any of those in her garden. Although sometimes she buys plants that haven't started flowering yet and they come up in that colour that she doesn't like. So it catches her out a little bit. So it's really simple, just doing the tips of the leaves and sort of blending it together with this pear green. It's getting a bit short, my favourite green. Unfortunately it decided to break a few times and it's got really little. Now the butterflies, I decided that they might look quite nice in a sort of brownish colour. I'm just going to use my Coyote brown and tidy this up a bit because while I'm looking at it, it looks a bit messy. I feel like making it a little bit darker on the edges. So for the butterfly, I'd be tempted to use, we need some different browns to the Coyote brown, which is quite a, I don't know really. So I'm going to use these. Can you see these are the orangey browns? So we've got the cinnamon, the burnt ochre and the sienna brown. Oh, the sort of reddy orangey browns. And I think these will serve us better. Now, which is the darkest? Now, I'm just going to do a scribble. Oh, I put my rough paper. So I'll just show you what I'm doing. This is this cinnamon. That's quite orange, isn't it? This, ooh, oh dear. This is the sienna brown. And this is the ochre. So the sienna brown is definitely the darkest. I'm going to use that for the outlines of the butterflies. So I often like to have my butterfly with a dark outline. I often do this in black. Butterflies do have a lot of black in. If you look at photos, I'm just doing quite hard colouring here. If you look at photos of butterflies, they're often a lot of black in them, and I find if you make this outline black, it looks more realistic. I'm not going for realism here though. So I think I'll do these sort of lines, any edges and lines in this darker brown. And say on this butterfly I would do this bit and this edge. You can just about see it. And then we've got our two others. Now for the body, I think I'm not going to use one of these orangey browns, I don't think. I would use it if I was doing like a, what's the name of the butterfly? The orange ones. Is it monarch? Because they tend to have that sort of colour. I'm going to use the cinnamon next and I'll show you. What I plan to do is to make it darker here near the body and start to sort of fade it out like that. And the same with this one. And here, I haven't thought what I'm doing with those dots, just sort of ignoring them. Look at that, and the same on this side. They are symmetrical. Try and keep it the same. Maybe those dots should be in the darker colour as well. And so I'm now going to my burnt ochre and I'm going to do just going to overlap a little bit and take it to the edge. You could use an even paler colour like the, what's it called? Camel brown, something like that. Also ginger. I don't know if there's a ginger in the 120. But anyway, I heard recently that there's a pastel set that Arteza have brought out now, someone said. I don't know if it's only been sent out to a few people to try or whether it's actually properly out. But I thought that was quite interesting. Everyone's standing on the pastel pencil bandwagon all of a sudden. Climbing on it, I suppose, is the term, not standing. Right, so I'm going to use the ooh, they're rolling around, hold on, the Sienna brown, just to do the dots. And then we'll grab a colour for the body. I'm thinking maybe like a chocolate or something. I've got a lot of gaps here though. I'm just going to fill in with I'm using the burnt ochre for this. I don't want lots of white, but or yellow I guess it is with that pastel underneath. There we go. And so I think I'm going to do the body in the maybe the cocoa brown. Now I tend to do my butterflies in the same way. So take the head circle, put a few layers around the outside and less towards the centre. For the body, put more layers along the edge. And less in the middle, and then you get a little bit of a lighter area which makes it look like he is slightly shiny or slightly rounded. Let's brush him off so you can get a good look. So there's that little section done. Now I'm going to do all of the rest of the page in these colours, so keeping it really quite simple. You can see the slightly yellowy background, I hope. And I'm just going to keep going with this off camera in my own time, and I will share a finished picture with you. I have just noticed that my pastel up here, there's a line, it looks a bit funny. I'm going to just blend that a little bit better. Oh, there's a loud siren going by. Got my window open, trying to cool the house down. We had the really hot temperatures yesterday and it's much cooler today, so I've got all the windows open, just trying to cool. The house keeps the heat in, which is great in the winter, but in the summer it's not. It's just trying to cool it down a little bit before it gets hotter today. But anyway, I may just fiddle with that, but there is that bit that I've done. And you know, you can continue in a similar vein if you wish to. I will share a picture at the end showing you the finished thing, and then you can decide if you want to do a similar thing to me. But I just thought that would just get you going really on the page. It's always nice to get a little starter and then you can go with it really. I did do this page in one of my copies of Magical Jungle, couldn't tell you which, I'd done two. In a similar colour scheme, and I really liked it, so I thought that's sort of why I thought I would do it today, although my butterflies were a much darker brown rather than the orangey brown. I'm not sure which I prefer, to be honest. But anyway, that's me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that was okay for you. I hope that you have a really lovely Monday and happy colouring.